All right, so get this. Golden State just beat the Bucks without Steph. No Steph Curry, and they pulled off this win. And it wasn't just any win, you know. People are calling it like a defensive masterclass for the ages. And, well, we've got the analysis right here. So what we're going to do today, we're diving deep into how they did it, you know, this totally unexpected win. And we're going to see if maybe this means things are changing in the NBA, you know, as we head towards the playoffs. Think of this like your mission, if you want to take it on, right?
Yeah.
We're going to figure out the secret sauce of this win, especially that defense, man, and what it could all mean once the playoffs start.
Yeah, so right off the bat, what's wild is how the Warriors just shut down the Bucks' big guns. You know, Giannis and Lillard held into a combined 11 for 34 shooting. That's a great
for real. Giannis, I mean, the guy's a monster, right? Shooting only 31%. All the reports are saying Draymond Green just locked him down. Giannis couldn't buy a bucket when Draymond was on him. And Draymond's already talking about another Defensive Player of the Year award. That kind of performance, man, it changes the whole game. What do you think Draymond did, like, tactically to be so effective against a guy like Giannis?
So what's interesting here is how Draymond used his positioning and anticipation. He wasn't just trying to, like, overpower Giannis, you know.
Right.
He was shutting down those driving lanes before Giannis could even get there, forcing him into tougher shots, contested shots. And if you zoom out a little, you see Draymond's energy was contagious. The whole team, man, the Bucks, a team that could put up crazy numbers, were held to just 93 points, and they couldn't score a single field goal in those last 4 minutes. I mean, that just shows you how stifling the Warriors' defense was. And, you know, after the game, the Bucks had like an emergency team meeting. That tells you everything, you know, about the impact of that defense.
It really does. Like, you can feel the frustration, maybe even a little bit of a feeling of being lost, you know, from the Bucks. But hey, the defense was huge. But you got to give it up for Jimmy Butler. Stepped up big time on offense with Steph out. Almost had a triple-double. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. The reports, they're all saying it. Playoff Jimmy is back. What really stood out to you about what Butler did on offense?
Well, the key thing about Butler, right, is how he saw the opportunity and just attacked. He wasn't just filling in for Steph. He was creating plays. Especially in that fourth quarter. Those clutch shots, they took the wind out of the Bucks' sails, and then that last assist to seal the game, that just showed his awareness, his leadership in those big moments. It wasn't just about scoring, you know? It was about making the right play at the right time.
And it wasn't just one guy on defense either. The reports break down the Warriors' game plan. Double-team Giannis in the paint, face guard Lillard so he can't get open looks, and trap him on pick and rolls. Analysts are already saying, hey, this could be the way to beat the Bucks, maybe even other high-scoring teams. What makes this strategy so effective, do you think?
Well, if you look at the Bucks, right, their offense, it all comes down to Giannis and Lillard, how good they are individually. By messing with those guys, you know, forcing the ball out of their hands, making other players beat them, the Warriors took away the Bucks' biggest strength. And that kind of focused defense, if they can keep doing it, that could be the blueprint for slowing down any team in the playoffs. You know, the fear that kind of intensity creates, that's a psychological edge too. The reports all mention that.
Now, there's this whole question mark about Jonathan Kuminga, right? He's coming back soon, and there's some, like, uncertainty about how that's going to work, you know? Bringing him back in after this awesome win could be tricky. What do you see as the potential good stuff and the maybe not so good stuff about Kuminga coming back into the mix?
That's a really good question. I mean, on the one hand, you've got Kuminga. He's athletic, he can score, and that adds another weapon to the Warriors' offense, right? But then, after a win like this, there's always that chance you mess up the good thing they got going. You know, the chemistry and all that. The coach, he's going to have to figure out how to bring Kuminga back in the right way so he helps him and doesn't slow him down.
So, folks, what we've learned today, what this whole deep dive shows, is how much the Warriors can adapt. And man, that defense they rediscovered. Without Steph Curry, no less. This wasn't just a win, you know, it is a message. The Warriors are back, and they could be a real problem in the playoffs.
And that brings us to something to think about. How does a team, like, find new strengths, right? You know, hidden talents. When they lose a superstar, what can we learn from that, you know, in our own lives? Maybe when we hit a wall or lose something important, that's when we find a new way to succeed. Something to think about.